Hello everybody, Duel back with another video. This video is part 8 to what if Bell had a unique symbiote. We left off with him in the ReZero world, coming back from the onslaught of demon dogs that bit him, and then he slaughtered them all, and now he's back at the doorstep, tattered and covered in blood. Yeah, that's how we left it off. Now, I'm gonna go over why this video is going up today, and why it is going up at whatever time it is. I forget what it is. I don't feel like looking at the clock because I'm holding a pen. Now, this video is going up because the last video I posted was kind of botched. Bad audio, bad... There's the pen. I had bad audio, muffled sound, couldn't get a decent place to stop and record. So, while I have the time, I figured, why not record a new video, upload it, yeah. So, yes. And this is the first video I've had to do research for that's not scripted. So yeah. God. So yeah. As he walks through the mansion door, we left off with him saying, "Sorry, Amelia, I haven't been around much. I have a little business to take care of." She says, and then I gave you the checkup on eyes. Alright, so now, after saying that to Amelia, she hugs him because she's no longer speculative of him. She has full faith that he's trying to do everything right. She hugs him and says, "Zero, it's fine." As he passes out, because he's been taken on this damaged form for a while. So he passes out, and I figured out her name. Ram takes him to the Ram and Ram take him to the room. Because let's say it was 3 hours, so they had time to bandage up. Ram and Ram take him to his room, and he sleeps the night off. Let's say Ram, Rem, and Amelia all fell asleep on him, like on his lap, at the edge of the bed. So yeah, Ram, Rem, and Amelia all fell asleep on the edge of the bed. He wakes up fully healed because let's say Great Sage used let's say he used a regeneration skill that he got off one of the adventures he ate. So yeah. So in his sleep, the regeneration skill kicked in, and he was fully healed. As he was sleeping, Great Sage did some research on the world and identified some poisons, magic parameters, and all that. Yeah. And the next morning, Belle wakes up to Amelia, Ram, and Rem, all on his bed, all at his bedside, asleep. He sits up and smiles as his eyes go a good orange for about 30 minutes as he's just sitting there smiling. The memory of that he'll never see eyes again kicks back in, and his eyes turn blue. Yes. And once his eyes turn blue, he sits up, taps on their heads, and says, "I'm awake now." They all wake up like, "What?" and look at him and say, "Zero, Zero," because I'm using his... They said it so that they don't know his name's actually Bell. I know it would be a normal name, but still, I'm trying to make the name Sub-Zero, like, legendary. Oh god, I have to research on that guy too, on her too. I had to look up names of characters. I'll do that later when I have to get around to it. Okay, so, yes, after he wakes up, gets everything ready, gets himself dressed, after asking him to leave the room, he gets dressed, and he walks out. He's not in his usual tuxedo. and all that. He has a face mask. That's it. He's wearing the Sub-Zero outfit. Yeah. So he's wearing the Sub-Zero outfit. And yeah. So he's not gonna wait. He's only gonna wear the samurai outfit when he gets serious. Because let's say he uses that for like, let's say that's like his trump card. So he walks out with his combat gear on, and as he walks out, he sees the carriage and asks, excuse me, sir, what do you need? Old Man Will and Felix come out and say, oh, hello, we are here to take Miss Amelia to the capital. And Felix says, I'm here to treat an injured man. Belle says, oh, there are no injured men here that I know of. Felix says, really? Because I came here to treat a man that was bitten by demon beasts. He says, oh, no, don't worry, that he's taken care of. And Will says, well, I'm still here for Miss Amelia. Zero says, don't worry, I'll get her. I gotta call him Zero now because it's stuck in my head, and I have to remember it for plot. So Belle walks in to find Amelia. He knocks on her door. She says, 1 second. As about a minute later, she opens the door and says, yes. As Belle says, Amelia, this guy named Will is outside with you. He said he's going to stay here to take you to the capital. She says, oh yeah, by the way, Zero, are you coming? Belle says, what's it for? It's where the Grand Council decides who the next ruler will be. Belle says, well, I can't not go. I'm gonna have to make you look good. She says, okay then, meet me outside in half an hour. Belle says, okay. As he walks outside and tells Old Man Will that he'll with tea and some meat sticks, and says she'll be out in about half an hour. He says, oh, okay. As Belle goes into the mansion, pulls out some chairs, and they sit there, talk, and drink tea, and then Belle offers Will a meat stick. Will takes it and says thank you. As he eats it, he asks what this is. Oh, it's a meat stick I got from the village and spiced and seasoned. It's a dried meat stick I got from the village and I spiced and seasoned it myself. He says it's very good for a homemade snack. He said yeah. He says yes, it is. As he asks as well, Old Man Will asks if he has any more. Belle pulls out a leather bag, and he opens it. He hands it to the man, and says, "Here, these are smaller versions of what you're eating right now." Let's say he was eating about a pen long meat stick, and the ones Belle gave Will were about just bite size. And the time flies as Amelia comes out and says, okay, we're ready. I'm ready. As Rem and Rom wave goodbye to Amelia and Belle. There's so many personalities in this because it's Zero, Belle, Rimuru, Great Sage. Belle has 4 names. For Belle's character, defining Belle's character, I can use 4 different names. It's hard to remember. It's like me and Atoning the goddamn Yellow Flash. Yeah, so as they arrive in the capital, they walk around. Belle picks up some apples for Amelia, and he's fairly far from Amelia and him split off, and he's fairly far away from Amelia, and they decided they meet up back at the Banner, or where they're staying. He says, well, I'm pretty far away, and it'd be a pain to walk all the way there. So he puts his thumb out, and a carriage stops. He says, I'm going towards the castle, can you give me a ride? They say, sure. As he gets in the carriage, the man in an armor helmet says, it's your lucky day. And we were heading towards the castle. Belle says, oh, so what for? He says, and the girl says, there's only one reason why someone would go to the castle today. It's for the ceremony to choose the next ruler. As the man in helmet says, yes, you don't know. She is Miss Priscilla. I forget her last name. One of the candidates to be the next ruler. He says, that's interesting. How does one participate to be in the ceremony? She says, well, you have to be a priestess, and to be confirmed priestess, you have to have touched the dragon scale, and your insignia would hop up on it. She pulls out her insignia and shows him. You also need one to get into the ceremony, unless you're a knight. He says, oh, that's interesting. As he says, oh, can we stop here? They stop the carriage and he gets out as he walks to meet Amelia. He meets Amelia there and they go in. But when the cart stops him, Amelia says, oh, he is my... And then Sub-Zero and Belle takes over and says, I'm her knight. Oh, and Zoro says, oh, so you're first in line to be her knight if she becomes the ruler of the kingdom. He says, yes, that's me. Smiling, but still with the pale blue eyes. Let's say Amelia doesn't know about the eyes. Or that Belle is a monster with ice magic. The only person who knows that is... let's say that Puck doesn't know because he's been concealing his aura this entire time. Around Puck especially. So the library keeper is the only one that knows he's fairly good at ice magic. But she doesn't know the full extent of his abilities at all. And the guard says, so what shall we call you, Sir Mr. Knight? He says, Sub-Zero. He registers the name under Sub-Zero as they walk in. Belle's still in his blue combat outfit. As they step in line, he sees Felt and Reinhardt. He waves to Reinhardt and says, hey, Reinhardt. They get to chatting, and I'm going to go over the conversation now. So, Reinhardt, we never got to do our duel. Reinhardt says, why are you here? He says, I'm Miss Amelia's knight. Reinhardt says, that's pretty impressive. You must actually have some skill with a sword. Belle touches the back of his head and says, yeah, I'm not half bad. Reinhardt says, well, I guess we'll have our duel after this. And then Felt walks up and says, why is he here? And then says, oh, Reinhardt, how do you do? And then he tries to kick him in the face. Reinhardt catches it and says, well, I wasn't expecting that. Felt gets pissed and starts saying, well, I don't even know why I'm here, let alone in this dress. Reinhardt saying, oh, do they not fit? And then Reinhardt puts the thing in her hand, and it glows. The Grand Council says, what? Impossible. She's but a commoner. Then the nobles start making fun of her, and then they start making fun of Amelia. When they start making fun of Amelia, the room temperature drops. The room temperature drops, and you can see frost start to form on the walls. Not very much, but yeah. The guards look around and ask who is doing it. As Belle yells, "I won't tolerate disrespect towards my lady." As they all look at Belle and say, "You, stop your spell." Belle says, "I'm sorry, this is a reflex. I can't stop it. The room temperature drops with the room temperature drops with my body temperature. When my body temperature drops, I'm pissed." As Belle's eyes go red and say, "I will not tolerate disrespect towards my lady. A knight wouldn't dare." As Julius steps up and says, "You say knight as if you earn the title." Belle says, "Legally, I have not earned the title, but I'd say my strength would prove myself worthy." As Julius starts saying, "Oh, so you're saying that you have not earned the title of knight, yet you preach to it. You do not know how disrespectful that is to the knights that have earned their place here." As the knights of the kingdom do their little poof on the ground, Belle says, "Oh, I'm sure you've rehearsed that." He says, "Yes, we have. We're a whole acting troupe." Belle says, "How about this, Mr. He says, "I am Julius, the head knight." Belle says, "Perfect. Which lady do you represent?" Julius points towards his and says, "Okay then, I would like to fight on behalf of our ladies. Knight versus knight." Julius ladies protest, saying he can use magic, or at least it's something like magic, because he said it was a natural reflex. Amelia says, "Are you sure about this, Zero?" Julius laughed and says, "Zero, what a fitting name. That's how far you're gonna go in this duel." The room temperature drops. And now the room temperatures. Let's say the room temperature was 70. Let's say the room temperature now is 50. Yeah. Belle says, "Okay then, let's take this outside." As Julius directs him towards the ring, they step in. Julius gives Belle a sword and says, "It'd be unfair if I were to fight you barehanded." As Belle breaks the wooden sword and throws it, he says, "I don't think I'll need it." As Belle says, "Amelia, do you mind? I need to go to the armory real quick. I need to go to the carriage real quick. Can you pull it into the armory?" Don't ask why. There's a way to get the armory into the carriage. Let's say it's for new supplies. They bring the carriage in the armory. Belle goes into the carriage and then pulls a sword from his stomach. It is the Starry Night Sky from Sword Art Online. Just leave me alone. It's the Starry Night Sky. He walks out of the carriage with a jet black sword and says, "I'm ready." As he goes in the armory and grabs an iron sword and throws it to the man and says, we're playing for keeps." And throws it to Julius and says, "We're playing for keeps. It's gonna be a first contact duel." He accepts the terms as they get into a stance. Let's say Belle uses the Einkrad style because of Great Sage. Let's say it was a lost style in Danmachi. But Great Sage knew it because plot. So yeah, after Great Sage programmed the style into Belle's mind, he said, After saying it, he bowed to Julius and said, Don't worry, legends never die." Julius looks at him, confused, as he puts his sword behind him as it starts to glow red. And he says, it starts to glow red, and then it shifts to a burning blue. As the announcer says, begin. Julius swings his sword down, as Bell cuts his sword in half. And then he stabs his sword into the ground. Let's say the iron sword turned to frost on contact and it shattered. And then Bell stabbed the sword into the ground and put his hands up. Not up like cop-wise, but like put his hands up to box. As Julius threw a punch, Bell countered with like a 64 palms. He countered. Let's say he countered and broke Julius's arm. So what he did was he put one hand in front of his wrist and the other on his elbow and went. Julius didn't stop though. He screamed out in pain for a few seconds, but he didn't stop. And with his one good arm, he tried to punch Deku. Oh my god, I'm gonna shoot myself if I say that again. He tried to punch Bell in the gut with his one good arm. He makes contact as his body freezes over. Bell then flicks his forehead as he unthaws. And then Bell doesn't use magic anymore from beyond the fight. What he does is he brutally beats the living hell out of Julius. And then says, "Do you forfeit?" Julius can't make the words out and then passes out. Bell wins by knockout. And I forget who Julius is. I have to go watch the fucking YouTube video now. Yes, so as the Anastasia walks up to Julius and asks if he's alright, Julius unconscious. As Bell says, "Don't worry, he'll be fine. I didn't hit any vital spots." But he is unconscious. Anastasia says, "You went too far." As the crowd's roaring in excitement and the knights are all confused on how this wannabe just took out the head knight, he says, "Well, if that doesn't prove my strength, I don't know what will get through to you." As he walks up to Amelia and says, "You will be the next queen." Amelia's happy that he's done this much for her, but she wants him to be the best he can be. He was still injured when he came back from the fight, and she knows he wants to save people. So what she does is she says, "Thank you, but I'm gonna need you to stay here when I go back." He says, "Have I done something wrong?" Amelia says, "No, you haven't. You've been the best companion I've had on this journey. It's just, I want you to be the best you can be. So I'm going to send Rem in a couple days. For now, I want you to stay and train with Old Man Will. And Felix can teach you some water magic. It may enhance your ice magic in the future." Bell thinking to himself and says, "I'm already strong as hell, though. I don't think anybody can teach me anything." But he respects his lady's wishes because he wants to be a legend. He wants to be known to the land for ages after he leaves. So he accepts and he goes to train with Old Man Will. I'll be right back. I gotta watch the video and figure out who else he trains with. Okay, I believe I was at the part where I was introducing who else was training Belle. So, Crochet, the green-haired candidate, is teaching him politics. That is one area where he will improve. That's what he's getting out of this. Will is teaching him swordplay. And Felix is teaching him magic. So, it's been 3 weeks. And Will and Belle are out training. Belle is currently using his Starry Night, as he and Will is using an iron longsword. As they start their duel. In 3 weeks, Belle has nearly bested Will countless times, and Belle is not trying at all. In this last battle will determine whether he continues his training for another 3 weeks or he finishes. So, as Belle draws the Starry Night, Will dashes towards him. As he dashes, he goes for a side swipe with 2 hands on his longsword. It's moving so fast that most people wouldn't be able to see it. As Belle puts the sword behind his back and blocks the blade, as he swings down again while turning and cuts the blade in half. And he wins the match. Will compliments him on his swordplay and says that you may have even surpassed me. Belle has not been trying whatsoever with his training. Now over to Felix's training. Felix has taught him healing magic, but after seeing what potions he made, she realizes that healing magic to this man is obsolete. It wouldn't be useful in the slightest. These potions will heal him completely over any injury. But she notices that it won't heal curses. So what he does is, I keep saying she because he looks like a girl. What he does is, he teaches him how to remove curses. So, after teaching him how to remove curses, he has a brief knowledge of poisons, curses, and stuff like that. And seeing how versatile he is in magic, she sees no need to train him in that. And now over to politics. This is where Belle has been struggling the most. But in a matter of 3 weeks, he's learned everything there is. And Crochet sits him down to have a drink one night. As they sit down to have the drink, Crochet starts to talk and asks, "So, Zero, how have you managed to get so strong? You were already exponentially strong before coming here, but you've mastered everything Felix and Will have taught you." He says, I can't disclose my prior information, but let's just say I'm a fast learner." He is referring to the skill Realis phrase. She doesn't smell lying wind on him, so she says, "Okay." And then she asks why he's here. She's been strong enough to take down the second best knight there is in the kingdom, aside from Reinhardt. Belle says, "Lady Amelia requested that I would be my best in our next confrontation. And I intend to be my best. Whether it takes... I intend to be my best whether it takes a year or 3 weeks." She smiles and says, "Well, I have good news. It only took 3 weeks." He smiles and says, well, in that case, see you. I'll be off in 2 days. She says, okay, as they both drink, as they drink, and drink, and drink. Felix walks in and asks, so, Miss Cruchet, and then sees Zero and says, Miss Cruchet, what are you doing in such vulnerable clothes? She says, what do you mean, Felix? Is that I dress whenever we eat? I'm talking in a drunken accent. Felix says, and that's the problem. You don't know what this guy's motivations are. Miss Crusade says, well, he's Amelia's knight, so I don't see the problem. Felix says, just because he's Amelia's knight does not mean he's head over heels for Amelia. I've already had confirmed plus 18 plus content is allowed in this series. So, yeah. As all that happens, Felix walks out saying, mumbling to himself. And Crusade says, so what are your feelings towards Amelia? Let's say Belle's kind of drunk, but great stages, alcohol, like, there's diagnostic makes it to where he's not as drunk as most humans could be. He says, I'm going to make her queen and go down a legend. Crusade asks, what do you mean legend? Belle says, before I exit this world, she means death. I want my name to be stamped in history as the greatest ice user and the one who brought Queen Amelia to the throne. She doesn't sense any lies to him and says, that's a pretty big goal. Alright, now I'm going to go over the story. I'm going to end this before it hits season 2. Amelia's going to become queen way faster. So, I'm probably going to end this, like, anime off. I'm probably going to end the ReZero section of this What If off this episode. And comment which world you want to be sent to next. And try to avoid worlds with giant plot. Okay, let's decide. Alright, so yeah, let me know what anime you want to be in next. Okay, so he wakes up the next morning. No, we were still at the drinking part. He says that, and Crochet says, that's a pretty big goal. Sure you can pull it off? He says, with my abilities, I could do much more. Not sensing a lie, she says, what do you mean? Belle's a bit tipsy, so he says, well, I could probably blow up the capital. My magic abilities were considered the highest order from the land I used to come from. She doesn't sense a hidden land in his eyes and now realizes that Sub-Zero, or just Zero, is the most crucial asset anybody could have in this battle for the throne. So, she decides that it's best to have him on her side. So she starts saying, well, if you want to go down in history, I don't know if going down with Amelia would be the best option. Belle says, no, I think it would be. Rising from the bottom and going to the top is the best way. Okay, no lie in his voice. Crochet pulls out a bottle of the strongest wine she has, and they drink that. That shuts down Belle's access to magic. So, let's say it shuts down his like brain waves to where he can't access Rimuru or Great Sage, so they can't assist him in any way. So let's say they got so drunk they passed out. As she has, I'm gonna say she has a familiar. This isn't gonna come in play any other time now. I'm gonna say she nudges her ferret familiar to go lock the door. It does, and it disappears in the smoke. As that happens, Belle's kind of tipsy. As she asks, "So, I noticed your eyes went red at the coronation, at the ceremony. So what's that about?" He explains that eyes are like stained glass. They all have color to them. My eyes are clear. It displays my emotions. She makes a joke saying, "Well, you must be feeling blue." As he says, "Yeah." She looks at him wondering what he means. What he means by he is feeling blue. That was meant to be a joke. Let's say that she's completely sober right now because she didn't drink any of the wine. Bill explains that the girl he loved he's very far away from the girl he loves, and he may never see her again. He was nearly ready to propose before the incident happened. I was nearly killed, and I came here. And I don't know where she is, and I can't get back to her. He says it in those words exactly to like steer off the fact that he came from another world. She says, "It must be very sad." As she purposely nudges a wine glass off the table. And let's say it breaks. Belle, being the gentleman trap, goes down to pick it up. Crochet goes down as well. Let's say Crochet tripped on her dress and fell on Belle. They are kissing mouth to mouth. No other way. So yeah, they're kissing mouth to mouth. I think I'm gonna do some of one of my other what ifs here soon. Yeah. So, yeah. They're kissing. Doors locked so Felix can't come in and be like, or, so yeah, that happens. As she closes her eyes and says yes in her head. Because her plan is now to seduce Belle. She's like, his loved one's dead, he's in a vulnerable state, he's always sad. I can get this guy, if I can make his eyes pink all the time, I will own him. So, yes. She is using seduction magic, which is kind of like love magic, but it's just like, it's emotion swaying magic. As Belle's eyes turn pink, he puts his hand on her head, and they start to make out. They make out for an hour until she starts to take off her clothes. She starts with her dress. And now she's in underwear and a bra. As Belle takes off his pants and his shirt, she sees that he is ripped, like from head to toe. And she says, "Honestly, I'm thinking about just making him. I think I should have done this a long time ago, even if it wasn't for political reasons." as she takes off her bra and her underwear, Mel takes off his underwear as well, and that night they get it on. Don't want to go into the details because demonetization is sweeping the nation. It's gonna end my YouTube channel. Yeah. Even though it's technically not monetized anyway, I don't want to get copy striked. Not strike, just taken off YouTube for like a week. Cause then you guys wouldn't get videos, and how would that feel? So yeah. Belle has done the deed, and he wakes up next morning in Cruchet's bed with her naked, him naked, and let's say there's Quam, you know what it is, coming out of her. And he's just thinking, fuck, 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 in his head, and then Grace A says, what do you mean, buddy? In like a kind of drunk voice. Belle says, did you get drunk last night? Grace A says, no, we got drunk last night. Reamer pops in his head's like, yeah, woo woo. Let's say that it's gonna take a long time for their effects to like come off. But Belle's kinda sober. Crusade looks at him and says, well, good morning. Belle's like, fuck, 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 I fucked her. As he uses it's his own type of magic that he used on Eyes one time. It's sterilization magic that, like, neutralizes his seed so she won't get pregnant. He says, so, last night was a doozy, I'm willing to bet. She says, yeah, you did it like for 3 hours, not counting the first hour. He's thinking in his head, how long can I even go for it? Let's say his eyes weren't blue. Let's say they were like, let's say they were bright red, like going towards the pink colors. She says, so what does that mean? What does that mean, Mr. Transparent? He says, it means I'm blushing. He smiles and says, hee hee. So Belle says, so is this gonna be a normal thing? Cruchet says, depends. You have to make a deal. Yeah, depends. Let's make a deal. If you promise to do me one favor whenever I ask, we can make this a normal thing. Belle's thinking, she's kinda good looking. Do I want to drop this hoochie, or do I want to keep her for later? He says, deal. As she says, if I need anything from you, you have to come running. He says, fine. As he hands her a necklace. He says, break this when you need me, and I'll appear. She says, damn, ice magic overpowered, isn't it? He says, kinda. As he walks outside, Rem comes up and says, so, I just realized I didn't put any clothes on him. Before he walks outside, he gets his clothes on, gets Cruchet's clothes on. He gets Cruchet's clothes on, that's funny. Honestly, Crochet is not bad looking. I'd probably tap it. But, yeah. Crochet puts her clothes on, he puts his clothes on, as he straight up jumps off the balcony into the front yard. and he goes into his room. As Rem walks in, like a half an hour later, saying, Subaru, bad news. The people are rallying against Amelia in Roswell's territory. He says, well, that ain't good. We're gonna have to go. As he goes up to Crochet, I want to say Rem doesn't know about the eye thing, but let's say his eyes have been a lighter blue, which means he's not as sad, which means he's leading towards happiness. As he sees Crochet, his eyes turn pink for a moment and they turn back. Nobody sees it but Crochet. As he says, Crochet, Felix, Will, I gotta make a trip. I'll be back not too long. Actually, I finished my training yesterday. I gotta make a trip. Don't know if I'll be back, but Amelia needs my help. They say, okay, but I don't know if that's the best decision. She told you to stay here without information. It may be a bad idea to go back so soon. Rem says it's an emergency. There's a cult. And if we don't get there in time, they may attack Amelia. Bella says, so, I'll be back if you need me. If not, I really need to go. So Belle goes off and says, so what route are we taking? She says, we have to take a detour. The main road is covered in fog by the white whale. He says, well, how long will the detour take us? 2 days more? He says, we're going through the fog. I don't care what the white whale is. It can be a puppy for all I care. So they set off as they go through the fog, and they make it through. They make it through the first time. No, the first time they're attacked by the white whale. Belle's thinking, it's a flying whale. Oh my god, it's Moby Dick. Because let's say he read the book when he was a kid. Oh my god, it's Moby Dick. Oh my god, it's Moby Dick. That's what he's saying, and Rem's hearing this. He's like, who's Moby Dick? Belle says, book. It's the name of a whale in a book. This is not the time for giggling. We're gonna die, Rem says. Zero says, Belle says, death? Like that matters. As he puts his hand up and says, this may take a little more oomph. So, he uses black lightning. As a bolt of lightning pierces the heavens, the white whale falls down. That day, the white whale died. And let's say that Belle used shrinking magic to take the white whale's carcass with him. Yeah. So after using the magic, he runs off to Amelia's side, and he destroys the cult. Easy. Kills all of them. But in the end, he's infected by sloth. But due to his will, he breaks free. Because there's no room in his mind for fucking. There's not enough room in his mind for an evil conscience. So he kills the spawn within him before it can take Amelia's life. As he says, oh, that hurt. As he holding his chest in front of Amelia. He says, did you miss me? She hugs him and slaps him at the same time. So does Rom. Roswell walks up to him like, who are you? Yeah. So, in that world, his fling is Crochet. So, Crochet asked him for a favor. She asked him to give over the carcass to the white whale and let her take credit. He did, and every day after that, him and Cruchet was a thing. Let's say that he learned to love multiple people at once. So, after Amelia takes the throne, Cruchet is Amelia, let's say, due to the strength of Sub-Zero, no other female could challenge her to the throne. So eventually Amelia won. And Amelia made Sub-Zero, or Belle, a noble. Actually, let's say a duke. Like second up from the royal family. Second down. Sub-Zero became the most highly recognized warrior in all of history. And on his crest, it was. What should his crest be? On his crest, it was 4 swords and a snowflake. And in the insignia said, "Legends never die," because that was his motto. Let's say he married Cruchet, and she became the Duchess. And he let Felix and Will stay in his home. And let's say he died. Let's say after Cruchet died of old age, he died. Let's say after Cruchet died of a heart attack, 2 years, 3 years after they got married. After 3 years after Cruchet and Belle were married, she died of a heart attack. And he used Gate, but made it look like he died with illusion magic. He used Gate and transported to the next random world. Alright, so I'm going to give you a list of the worlds he can go to. Alright, if you don't know what this world is, I don't blame you, but it's the world of Iron-Blooded Orphan. It's the world with Gundams. There's no magic in it, so Belle would be the only person to have magic. Then we have Naruto. And then what's another one? My Hero. Let's say My Hero, Naruto, and Iron-Blooded Orphan. I don't expect Iron-Blooded Orphan to win, but yeah. If you like the video, like, subscribe, comment below, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye, demons.